Beloved, I'm not as wise as I would like to be, but I'm proud to say I'm not as foolish as I used to be. Maturity has been a slow journey for me, but I like to believe that I'm progressing day by day. In fact, earlier this week, I bumped into an old friend who I hadn't seen since high school, and when we saw each other for the first time in years, we immediately began to reminisce on one fateful Friday night from our high school years. I'll never forget this night when the gym at our high school was packed as we cheered on our basketball team in the regional playoffs. My school was no good at basketball, but we were having one of those Cinderella story years. And early in the second half of this game, I began to get a series of text messages from my father. He tells me that the snow is coming down really hard outside, and out of concern for his teenage son, who just began to drive a few weeks ago, he advises me to hurry up and come home. But 16-year-old me says, "Dad, it's a tie game in the third quarter, and I can handle driving home in a little bit of snow." He proceeds to then remind me that I've never driven in snow before, and that it would be wise for me to come home right now. Well, fast forward through the night and a series of continued text messages, I ignore everything that's going on in my phone, and I refuse to acknowledge the reality of the blizzard taking place outside of the building. We win the game, that's the good news, and the crowd is full of enthusiasm until we walk outside and we see all of our cars and the roads covered in snow and in ice. Well, after some moments of scraping and getting the car out of the snow, me and my friends pack in my old Toyota Corolla, and we make it about halfway home before two cars spin out in front of me and crash into each other, blocking the road in front of me. And now I'm stuck because there's an accident blocking the path ahead of me, and there's a steep hill covered in ice that's keeping me from backing up and going the other way. About an hour later, my dad shows up to the rescue. And when I saw his face and I thought about all those text messages he had sent, he didn't have to say what we were both thinking at the time. This boy is a fool. All of us, if we can be honest, we can think back to moments in life where we deliberately played the fool. Somebody gave you good advice and you chose not to listen. You let misplaced priorities trick you into making a dumb decision. You convinced yourself that you could handle a challenge that you had not prepared or practiced for. Fools think that they can handle anything because they think that nothing is greater than them. But the wise get to a point in life where they recognize that I don't always know what's best, that I need to rely on the advice of others, and that there are some obstacles that I'm not ready to conquer yet. There are some things that are greater than me. And this morning, we journey to the 14th Psalm, and we hear a harsh yet helpful reminder that all of us have been fools at some point in our lives. David says that all of humankind has gone astray, that there is no one who does good. He emphasizes it, no, not one. All of us have been in places where we denied the reality of God, when we tried to rely on our own strength and lift ourselves up to unhealthy heights. David says that fools say in their hearts that there is no God. Fools say in their heart that I'm capable of whatever I put my mind to. Fools say in their hearts that I don't have to rely on anybody else's help. Fools say in their hearts that my ego cannot be broken. Fools say in their heart that there is no God. And I know somebody this morning is saying, "Preacher, I'm a good Christian. I've never said that God doesn't exist." And maybe you haven't denied God's existence with your mouth, but you have denied God's existence with your heart. David tells us how we deny God with our actions in this corrective psalm. He shows us what types of foolish characteristics we exercise, and in describing our foolishness, he also paints a path towards wisdom. As a recovering fool who's still in progress, I want to highlight a few lessons from this psalm that I believe can help us all grow into who God is calling us to be. This psalm shows us three things that fools do that we would be wise not to do. And church, I believe that if we can avoid these three mistakes, our lives can be happier and healthy. The first is simple. We are foolish and we say there is no God whenever we try to make idols our substitute God. Look at the first 3 verses. David says that fools are corrupt. They do abominable deeds. He says that God looks down from heaven to see if anybody is wise, and God can't find anyone who is seeking God. You know what you're doing when you're not seeking God? You're seeking something else that has become your replacement God. Because we always spend our time and our energy chasing after the things that we earnestly desire. And God says, when you're no longer chasing me and pursuing me and seeking me, I know that you filled your heart with other desires and priorities, and you put your relationship with me on the back burner. I came to ask somebody this morning, what have you been seeking lately? What idols have been capturing your time and your attention? Who's the person that you put all of your hope and all your trust in? What are some of the habits that you let creep back into your life since we stopped fasting in January? What are the idols that we use to replace God? Idols are so dangerous because they tempt us to rely on possibilities that don't have a guaranteed future. Money will disappear. Celebrities will lose their appeal. Relationships will break up and come to an end. But there is a God who is more consistent and reliable than anything else we can put our hope in. Let me pause right here and talk to all of the heartbroken folks in the building. I know that loss devastated you. I know the separation crushed your spirit, because when relationships fail, we not only have to wrestle with our own disappointments, we have to deal with the fact that others around us now see us as a failure. And now you're not only heartbroken, but you've also lost your confidence and self-esteem, because the image of the future you were building has now been defeated. But I came to declare that when all of this passes away, there is a God that you can put your trust in, and there is a God that you can trust with your future. You got to decide that I'm tired of seeking things that won't last. I'm tired of letting people make a fool out of me. These idols can't give me the certainty and assurance I need, so I'm going to turn to the solid rock. And if nobody else approves of it, if nobody else celebrates it, I know that God is looking down from heaven and is going to be pleased with me. I refuse to be the fool who is celebrating or chasing a substitute God. I wonder if there's anybody in the building who can testify that I'm chasing God and God alone. I've tried every alternative. I've tried to live life on my own, but I've discovered that I need God like chicken needs hot sauce. I need God in my life. And I'm determined that I'm not going to let any idol interrupt my prayer life. I'm not going to let my career path get in the way of my devotional time. I'm not going to let any brunch plans force me to miss church. I can't get no help in here. I'm not going to let busyness keep me from reading my Bible. I'm determined to make God a priority, and there is no idol that will keep me from seeking God's presence. God's been too faithful to me. God's been too kind to me. God's forgiven me too many times for me to act like I've got more important things to chase after. I will not exalt a substitute. I will prioritize the God of my salvation. Fools say in their heart that there is no God. We say there's no God whenever we make idols our substitute God. And catch the second one, it's closely related. We say there is no God whenever we abuse the children of God. It's a timeless truth. The pursuit of material riches will often cause us to mistreat and abuse any person who stands in the way of the possessions that we desire. The pursuit of personal happiness often coincides with the abuse of others' humanity. I've lived long enough to know that all of us have placed greedy desires above healthy relationships. We've all at some point or another sacrificed a relationship on the altar of selfishness. Greed has a way of infecting our minds and corroding our hearts, and if you want to mature from a place of foolishness to a place of wisdom, you got to start prioritizing people over possessions. Nothing you buy, nothing you wear, nothing you hold or drive or live in is worth more than the people that God has providentially connected you with. The great tragedy of our society is that we love things and we use people. People were meant to be loved, things were meant to be used, but we have reversed the order. Yes, they hurt you, but that does not give you permission to hurt others. And we, as complicated human beings, must always be aware of the ways in which we replicate the hurt we experienced. I'm determined to give better than what I received. I'm determined to be healthier than the habitat I grew up in. I'm determined to rise above the pain of my childhood. I wish I had 2 or 3 witnesses in the building who can testify that you are determined to break the cycle. I will be better than what was done to me. I will not replicate my parents' shortcomings or my friends' insecurities. The devil will not have a generational victory in my house. I bind the cycles of depression and addiction and molestation and domestic violence. You are not bound to the pain of your past. Whom the Son sets free is truly free indeed. Fools fail to recognize how expansive the love of God actually is. God's love is always larger and wider and greater than you think it is. And the body of Christ is constantly crippled by Christians who want to play gatekeepers for the company of the righteous. I wonder if there's anybody in the building today who can testify that God's love lifted me. I had a whole lot of fools try to keep me down and put me in my place, but God's love lifted me. I didn't deserve it, surely couldn't earn it, but God's love still lifted me. I was broken and bruised, but God's love healed my heart. I was lonely and abandoned, but God's love filled the empty spaces. I was anxious and fearful, but God's love gave me peace everlasting. And now I can look back over my life and celebrate that love had the power to lift me when others tried to throw me away. When nothing else could help, love lifted me. When nothing else could help, love lifted me. If that's your testimony, you ought to lift your hands, open up your mouth, and praise God like you know your laws and your rules, your hate and your gossip couldn't keep me down, because God's love stepped in to redefine my life, and his love made a way where there was no way.